Oh, let me turn off the volume, make sure we're good. Okay. So today in this live, I'm going to show you how to get over 100,000 article views on LinkedIn newsletter. So I'm going to share with you why it's important to create your own LinkedIn newsletter, how to get started, why it's beneficial, and just share a little bit of what I've done. Part of this is to practice public speaking skills as well, and to be able to practice communication and how to help you build your own newsletter. What is LinkedIn newsletter? How does it help build your professional brand? How does it help you network? And how do you leave a lasting legacy as well? So I'm gonna share my screen with you and then I wrote an article about this as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments and I'll answer it when I get a chance. This will take me roughly 25 minutes and yeah, let's get right into it. So here, let me share my screen with you. Cool. So I wrote an article this morning, just finished it like literally 10 minutes ago. So I'll show you some of my analytics. So here, let's dig right into it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So to go to newsletter, all you do is you click on your profile and then you go down to newsletter and then so this is my newsletter. So I'll just show you some of the analytics because obviously credibility is everything. So I want to show you what it looks like, how to start one. So when you log in to your analytics, it'll show you how many subscribers you have. So I got 7 new subscribers in the last week, and uh, you're able to see like how many views. So I got 2,077 views. Obviously, when you first start, you're not going to be able to get like thousands of views, right? Like with anything, the more consistent you are, the more likely you'll get views. So you can see how many impressions, which this just means how many people have like how many people it was promoted to. So the good thing about LinkedIn is that they're trying to promote this functionality to so more obviously because LinkedIn's goal is to get people to use LinkedIn, and so you can leverage this to build your brand. So out of 2,664 or 2,669 impressions, which means this was a notification on people's LinkedIn. So if they're friends with you and they subscribe to your newsletter, they'll get a notification like the bell, which is important because that means more people will be able to see it. And then so I had 36 engagements, which just means like likes, reshares, people commenting on your articles. So 2000, I mean, if you think about it, that's a pretty good ratio. That means almost like, here, let me do the math calculator. So I'll divide 2,077 divided by 2,669. So 77.8. So that's rounded up. 78% of people actually looked at the article, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. No other platforms has that high of impressions and conversion. And then they'll show you what some of the demographics are, which makes sense, right? It's like I've been an account executive most of my life, and I'm in tech, and I'm in sales, so it makes sense that most of my demographics are in sales. And then you'll see who are your subscribers as well. So that's always interesting. So if there's anyone that piques your interest, you can just reach out to them, and it could be good lead flow for if you're selling a course or depending on what you're looking to do, right? So that's always interesting. I'll look at it. If I see anyone interesting, I'll reach out to them and build a relationship with them. All right. So this just shows you all of that. The analytics and tools just like so you could see just shows you like how many followers you have, how many people have viewed your profiles. So you can see that building your LinkedIn newsletter like helps you out a lot in terms of just getting more. So this post impressions just means that like in the last 7 days, I was able to get my content was shown to 9,175. Like think about that. Like how many platforms are you able to get that many people looking at your content, right? And then it helps you get profile views, which you can use for lead gen, see who's interesting people you want to build a relationship with. Um, so yes, and then obviously I'm doing LinkedIn Live right now, right? So when you do LinkedIn Live, it helps you be able to build more credibility. And then the follow link is once you reach like a certain amount of followers, LinkedIn deems you like a creator, and then you get it all will default to being like you know how like when you go to people's profile, you have to friend request it. Mine will all automatically go to follow, which is good and bad depending on how you look at it, right? It's good because you'll get a lot more followers, and because you're a content creator, they'll show your content to a lot more people, like non-followers. But just something to be cognizant of. Okay. So let's go back to um, lead generation and pros and cons. So I think it's important to be clear on your why. Like, why are you creating a newsletter, right? Because your time is your most valuable resource. So if you're creating a newsletter, like if you really think really closely, so I'll just share my why, and then you could start and think why you want to even create a newsletter, right? So for me, building my LinkedIn brand has helped me so much in terms of getting a lot of opportunities. I had a headhunter reach out to me on for Coach Hub, so I was able to work for Coach Hub. I got I got opportunities. I got an offer from Experian Marketing Services, which is earlier on my career, like 2017. So when you build your LinkedIn brand, you'll get a lot more opportunities. Like some of the potentially life-changing opportunities that I'm evaluating right now was through a LinkedIn InMail. So as you build your brand, not only will you get more clients, you'll build your ecosystem, you're actually adding value to the universe. So really, so here's a reflection point. A journal on why you want to create a newsletter, why it's important to you, and what you would even write about, right? So in the beginning, just document your journey, right? Like literally, like instead of overthinking it, just write about. So for me, like when I'm not overthinking it, I'll just sit down. Like let's say I have like 3 hours that I want to dedicate towards like just writing all of my social media content, right? And then you can repurpose a lot of this. Like once I'm done with this article, I can post it on Medium. I can post it on my website, davidsonhang.com, my blog. I can make content literally right now, and then I'm recording it, and then I could just use AI, and then it'll slice and dice, and then I can make YouTube shorts on it. And now I can post this on YouTube because I'm recording this. I can post it on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So literally the same content gets repurposed for 12 different platforms, which is so smart because let's say you spend 3 hours creating like a month's worth of content, right? You can repurpose it, and you can put it on Reels, you can put it on Twitter. Like once you figure out your process, it makes it so much easier to scale, and um yeah, you're adding a lot of value as well. So um so I do think most people overthink things. Like we have analysis paralysis, especially when it comes to something vulnerable like writing a newsletter, because a lot of people are seeing it. You know, you're getting over 100,000 people like reading your stuff, right? So I think just have an action, like have a bias towards action. Like we've all been guilty of paying for courses and not doing anything about it. I'm not gonna lie, like I've read 600 books. Realistically, I've only implemented like 100 out of those 600 books because I was just like, oh, I need to like read more, I need to learn more. But the application of it is extremely important. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments below. And then if I can't get to it, I'll make content on in regards to answering your questions. Okay. So the key, I would say the key is to be authentic, right? How do I be authentic on LinkedIn? Like what does that even mean? What does that even look like? I think figure out like what is your secret sauce? Like why are people compelled to read your content over like thousands of other quote unquote competitors, right? Which is essentially everyone else that's posting on LinkedIn. I had to do the reflection myself, and I realized that, oh, okay, like being vulnerable is my secret sauce. Like I'm able to be vulnerable, share openly about my failures, cry on camera, and you have to figure out what that is for you, right? Some people, like, because I'm Asian American, I'm always going to be talking about the Asian American experience. I'll be like, hey, during Stop Asian Hate, this is what was going on with my family. My mom and my grandma was afraid to go out because they saw through the news that like people were getting murdered for just being Asian. So I can share openly about that and what it means to get passed over for promotion because I didn't have executive presence, right? So I could just share openly about my takeaways and then build community around that, right? I'm sure I'm not the only Asian American who feels this way. So just share openly about your experiences. This is a cool story. I met a guy named Alex Paz. So he is someone I met through LinkedIn, and we never even met each other, but because I posted on social media, he was like, "Hey, like, I see that on your 16-day road trip, you're gonna pass by my part of town, like let's hang out." So he reached out, send me an email or send me a LinkedIn message, and I was like, "Dude, I would love to meet up with you." Super nice dude, became friends with him, and he ended up treating me out to a beer and lunch. So you never know who you're going to meet, and that's the beauty of building your professional brand. You'll get found by so many different people that you never even thought was possible. So just keep at it, keep doing it. I think one of the things is to not be so hard on yourself. Like, let's say you post an article and it gets like 5 likes, or even 1 like, or 0 likes. It's okay. Like, just because you're not getting likes doesn't mean people aren't reading it. I get text messages almost on a monthly basis where people are like, hey, I don't comment much, but I really appreciate what you're doing and putting your stuff out there. It's really inspiring. So stop comparing yourself to other people that have maybe 5,000 subscribers. I have 2,078 subscribers on my newsletter. If I was if I was comparing myself to Ian Koniak or Tanvir or Jamal or Brandon, I would be screwed because I would just be paralyzed and I'd be like, oh, like how can I make my content better so that I'm getting a lot more views? So just be cognizant of that and it'll help you get found by a lot more people. Um, this is an interesting one. To build community is sometimes weird because you have to, not you have to, but there's a component of like you liking other people's content, people that are writing similar type of content. And I would say don't overdo it because then you can go down the rabbit hole of consuming too much content. I have found the best ratio for me is 5-to-1 ratio, 5 times the amount of me creating content and then 1%. So let's say I spend 5 hours in 1 month, in the month of July, making content. I should only, not I should, but my ratio is 5-to-1. So that means I'm spending 1 hour actually consuming content. Some of it's for inspiration, some of it is just to see what other people are doing, some of it's just staying in touch with your community. But don't overdo it. If you're doing a 5-to-1 where you're doing 5 times the amount of consuming and only 1 hour of creating in the month of July, flip that around, you'll notice a huge difference. It'll help your mental state anyways. Um, Gary Vee, who's like a famous brand builder, has this approach called jab, 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 left hook. So what that means is his ratio is give, 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 and then make an ass on the fourth content. So let's say I'm making like, let's say 100 newsletter articles I've made in the last 2 years, right? That means 75% of my content is just like adding value. Like this is all adding value. Like there's no call to action here. But on my fourth article, I should have a call to action and they'll help me be able to build my business and, make money off of my content. Like let's say I'm trying to promote my coaching business, for instance. That's a good ratio so you're not overselling. So if you haven't read the book, Jab, 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 Left Hook by Gary Vee, really good one. Okay. So this is something that's interesting, and it's to be able to share openly and vulnerably because if you think about it, like sometimes we think everyone's like checking out our content, but the reality is there's so much noise out there that no one is actually going to remember anything. Like I think I'm promoting myself too much in my books, but like 90% of the people I meet don't even know I have a book. And that's because of the algorithms. And it's just because people are so busy in their own world that they don't actually care about what you have to say. So basically what I'm trying to say is just share as much as possible because the reality is like most people aren't really paying attention. So sometimes people have to see it 15 times before they take action, like buying my book, for instance. So it just really goes to show that, I mean, even for me, like I I remember there was a book that everyone kept recommending, like people kept recommending to me, and then eventually I think it was like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And then after like the 12th person, I finally bought the book because just you can call it stubbornness or just people are just inundated with like a lot of books out there. It's like, when you've read 200 books, you're like, okay, what's another book on mindfulness going to do for me? But sometimes you just have to keep saying it and then eventually people will take action. So this hopefully this was helpful. I created this because I want people to be able to get value in creating a newsletter. I'll just show you a little bit more about the newsletters just to show you what it looks like. So I wrote 132 newsletter articles. So that's how I was able to get to 2000, right? And then you kind of give a little bit of context. So it's like, all right, it's going to be lessons from $150,000 in personal development, 600 books, 700 podcast episodes. Um, that's why I created this newsletter because I'm like, all right, if I'm consuming all of this, and it's helpful because you'll get to be able to distill your main takeaways, right? Because we've all been guilty of reading books, and then only when my friend is like, hey, like, what'd you get from that book? I'm able to, if I can't concisely communicate this in a short amount of time, that means I really didn't get it. So I'm trying to do more consistently, but it is tough. It is tough. Make sure you have a thumbnail. I hope this is helpful, everyone. Oh, cool. Thank you for the comments. Na Nazar. Hopefully I'm not butchering it. Nazifa. I appreciate you giving me that thumbs up. And yeah, if this has been helpful, feel free to comment below. And I'll be doing my goal is to eventually be able to do daily LinkedIn lives. So this is a good practice to practice public speaking. Cheers, everyone. Bye.